What is going on, movie lovers, and welcome back to 5 on It. On today's episode, with Black History Month upon us, we decided to review a film that's a pioneer film for black cinema, a movie that definitely paved the way for some of the modern greats today. Today we are talking about the 1972 crime drama Superfly. But before we dive any further into that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, help a couple of movie lovers out, throw us a like, a share, a comment if you can. But Sir Frazier, tell the people about Superfly.
Man, so we decided to take up this movie. You know, this is one of those movies where it's funny. The soundtrack is more famous than the movie itself. And the soundtrack also dropped a few months before. But if you haven't checked out that soundtrack, definitely check it out. I mean, Curtis Mayfield does this thing. It's one of my favorite albums, actually, of all time. I mean,
it's arguably probably the highest highlight of the film is the soundtrack. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
like right out the
I would
gig,
say that's
right out
true,
the get go.
yeah.
I mean, like some of like the highlights of this movie is obviously the soundtrack, the costumes, like the set design, like the way it feels, the way it looks, the whole vibe of the film. Like it just knocks out the gate when you have like Little Child Running Wild like starting to play, and they do, man. They use a lot of the soundtrack with this film.
Oh yeah,
but
rarely is there a scene without that soundtrack, and they reuse some of the tracks throughout the movie as well.
Yeah, which yes. That at some parts I was like, you could have cut this song.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't need it. And they maybe have overused it a little bit too much. I mean, obviously, like you said, like Curtis Mayfield does his thing on this soundtrack or album, however you want to look at it. But there are some moments where I'm like, okay, it would have, like, to one in particular is the like towards the end when Priest is going to like the two dudes in the cafe and he's paying them off to, like, you know, you don't know initially kind of what's happening at first until you get to the final scene, and he lets oh boy know that he's like, I paid off a couple of dudes, some white hitters. So if anything happens to my pretty little head,
I love that line.
Your whole family's going down.
Oh yeah,
that's another highlight of this film is like that last like monologue, kind of when he's explaining what everything went down.
One hair's missing on this gorgeous head.
And then so like that's when you know, you're like, oh, so that's who he was talking to in that cafe.
Yep.
You don't hear like any dialogue. You just hear Curtis Mayfield singing his ass off.
Oh yeah.
And which it's, like I said, it's a great soundtrack and all, but like that's a scene where I'm like, man, it would have been nice to maybe hear some of the dialogue take place. I mean, you don't have to explicitly say like what's going on, like when he's talking to the dudes. They could have like did something in the writing room to like make that scene like stand out a little bit more. But that was one in particular where I was like, you could have cut the soundtrack a little bit. Let's hear some dialogue, because some of the scenes where you have like the characters playing off each other were really well done. Whether it's like him and Eddie talking, like when he lets him know that he's going to be out of the game.
Yeah,
I thought that scene was well acted. Or then when all three of them, those two and not Skipper. What was it? Scatter.
Those are good scenes.
Yeah, when all three of them are in the room, like talking
you
about
can get it if you wanted to.
And if you can't get it, why don't you tell us who your man is?
Yo, first of all, I completely agree with you. I think the scenes with Priest and Eddie are some of the best. With Eddie are some of the best scenes in the entire movie. Yeah. Whether it's, you know, when he goes up to speak to Eddie and we're introduced to Eddie, he's, you know, playing craps, and you know, that's where we have that scene where he's like, answer me, you white looking mother, and he backhands the shit out of him. He's like, get your game together, get your game together. You know, that scene was when we introduced to him, and then, you know, they go to their pad where they, you know, and basically Priest lays out the plan like, hey, I want to go. We have an opportunity to get a mill. Yeah. I want to take it. I want out of this game. I'm tired of this life. You know, he has that great line where he's like, I want to leave before I have to kill somebody, before somebody ends up icing me.
Yeah.
And you can kind of, I mean, this is one of the things I think Ron O'Neal plays Youngblood Priest, who's he's the pusher that this story revolves around, and Superfly is the high grade cocaine that he is distributing, and Eddie is his right-hand man. He reluctantly goes along with Priest in trying to give up the game and get out of this life. And that soon becomes a source of tension once they're introduced to who the real suppliers are. And we learn that it's actually these crooked ass cops. You know what I mean?
Dude, well, like, actually, I'll let you like it. When you have the scene when he tells him that he's out of the game, and like and Eddie kind of goes along with it because he also mentioned he's just like, well, like, dude, I had nothing else going on, so it's like, yeah, I went along with the ride. But then when they get confronted by like the white dudes and like the cops and everything, and then he's like, dude, we got it made right now. We can just continue doing this thing, and so like he just starts having like that change of heart about like, we can still like just stay in the game. We don't have to leave.
Yeah, and I think that scene in particular was a really big highlight for me, because he kind of tells him, he's like, you got this dream of setting the other side, the world on its ear, and he tells him, he said, but what the fuck else are you gonna do except hustle? Yeah. And you kind of feel that conflict, and you kind of see they're positioning Freddie. I'm sorry, not Freddie, but Eddie as they're positioning that as a real conflict down the road. Because he's like, all I'm thinking about is moving these 30 keys so we can get out of this, so I can get out of this.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I do really love about this movie is, this movie was released in 1972, directed by Gordon Parks. As I mentioned, stars Ron O'Neal, Carl Lee, Julius Harris, and Sheila Frazier, just to name a few. And this movie, man, despite having a budget of less than $500,000, it did over 18 mil in the U.S. alone.
I like how,
it truly was an independent success.
I like how, like, just reading it off of Wikipedia, so like obviously like how accurate it is, but it's just like budget. It's like 500,000 or 150,000.
I know they always give those ranges.
And then box office is like 30 million or 18.6 million. But obviously, like when you see that kind of that investment and you get that turnout, you did something well. Damn, I just kind of lost my train of thought for a minute.
Well, one of the things I do want to say is that I love how this movie feels very gritty, especially early on. Which that was one of my cons, just to touch on that briefly. I thought the opening sequence was way too long, where we're just kind of tracking on these addicts, and we're introduced to Priest when they try to jack him, and that chase scene, all that. I think that the opening scene. The chase scene was fine. I'm okay with that. I just think that it ran on a little long but
okay.
In doing that though, I did feel like it kind of shined light on just the grittiness of New York at that time, and very much in the same vein of like a lot of the 70s pictures that took place in New York, whether it's Taxi Driver, this French Connection. You're kind of seeing this really gritty side of New York, and Priest though, we're seeing him as he's just mobbing around town, dude. And I gotta give a shout out, because a highlight for me in this movie was the Cadillac Eldorado that he was mobbing around town with, the custom like Rolls Royce style grille and those really bright, those really cool headlights.
Yeah.
The also like the fashion was really dope. He was always dressed clean.
Well, that's why I mentioned just like this movie is like just like a vibe type of movie. Like it's mentioned, from just like the soundtrack to the costumes, the characters, and everything. You're just kind of vibing with like this isn't like, you're not gonna get some crazy like, it's like not, it's well written to a certain point, but you're not going to get some crafty dialogue in it, or like some super standout like moments in it. But the things that it does stand on and it does really well, that starts with like the vibe and like having like you feel something with this film, they do really well with that. But like you mentioned with like that opening chase scene, it does go on a little bit long, and even like
it takes too long to set up. That's the thing.
And they do this again. Like they have sometimes like a scene run on a little bit too long, but like at least with like that first scene with the chase and everything, bro. Like first, like I wish they would have like maybe like done something in just like how they filmed it a little bit differently, where there's like with the soundtrack. like you just hear like the soundtrack. You don't hear any of like the sounds of like the chase or like sounds of the environment or anything like that. So it just has like a kind of like an odd feeling to it. But one funny thing is when he finally does catch him, dude, he kicks him so hard he fucking pukes a little bit. And when he throws up, I'm like, whoa, oh shit,
damn junkie, man.
It's a little bit jarring just to see it like. But another scene that kind of like I feel like just goes on a little bit too long. It's just like it's like the montage scene.
Yeah,
that's just showing like the pictures and, like coming on the screen. Bro, I nodded off for a second, and then I came back, and it was still playing the same. I'm not sure which particular Curtis Mayfield song it was that they used on that one on that scene.
I don't know if it was Pusher Man,
but was it Pusher Man?
I can't remember.
It was one of them. But they just kept showing just picture after picture after picture. And I'm like, I get it. It's a montage. This is when I'm guessing they're moving the 30 kilos and whatnot. But I'm like, they could have just either cut this down in time a little bit, or they could have made it a little bit more entertaining. Like you could actually showed like some acting out visuals. It didn't have to be all just
photos.
Pictures. Yeah, all photos. You could have shown like some actual interactions and things like that of like the people on the streets, of the crew and whatnot.
Yeah. You know, I completely agree with you. I think that was another example that I was going to say, because I have two minds about that scene, right? On the one hand, I do love the montage. I think that was a really cool and effective way of just kind of showing us their distribution network and how the 30 keys flood the streets, basically. Yeah. And you kind of see their different lieutenants. I didn't mind that. I just think that scene went on way too long. Because you let that whole damn track ride out, and I was like, give me like a 30-second, minute montage of this, just kind of letting us know, okay, how are they moving this weight? Yeah, that's perfect. But I mean, I did like the actual aesthetics of it. I just think again, the sequence ran on too long. Yeah, but
exactly.
But one thing I did want to give a shout out to this movie is that this movie was dropped the same year as The Godfather, and this movie briefly dethroned The Godfather as the top movie in 1972
at the box office.
Yeah. So I definitely want to acknowledge, like, this movie clearly gained a lot of traction and people were rocking with it.
That's something to hang their hat on.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. I mean, this movie was also inducted into the Library of Congress. They inducted it just a few years ago. So I mean, to me, like, that says something, right? A movie that is, I mean, they're designed to preserve culturally, historically, and aesthetically impactful works, and the fact that this was added in a decade that has a lot of really, I mean, loaded with great movies. I think that does speak to its legacy.
Well, impact. Like you mentioned, like this is like definitely like a pioneer type of a film for like the black cinema, and like I'm not really like too clear when they even talk about black exploitation.
Blaxploitation,
like yeah. I mean, because it almost sounds like it's a bad thing.
I think that, I don't know if that was something that the critics pegged this with, but I know some of the earlier movies like Sweetback's Badass Song. I'm not a fan of that one, a little too arty for me. But Shaft, Foxy Brown. Coffee, Pam Grier had a great run during those years.
When they say that, are they just talking about like something that's centered around like the black culture?
Yeah, I think it means
black forward.
I think it means that more than anything else. But what was I going to say about this movie? One of the things that did you feel at any point in this movie that the movie was glorifying drug dealing in Priest? Because I don't think I really walked away. I don't remember having that, even rewatching it now. I haven't seen it in years.
Not from Priest, just because like he's trying to get out.
He's trying to get out, right?
He's living like this lifestyle, and even though he has 2 women as well, but obviously,
and the white woman is trying to keep him in the game.
Her acting is like Priest. Why? Where are you going? Why wouldn't you tell me? I was like, oh, Jesus, bitch.
Bro, we'll also say another scene that was that went on too long was the bathtub scene.
Bro,
I was just like, God damn. I said, they really getting after it.
Dude, I'm sitting here watching this movie and I'm like, since you have it on, I have it on my phone. You can like, you minimize it and change do other things. So I'm going to my notes and I'm just writing out bathtub scene. Like, why the fuck? Like another one. Like, why is this so long right now? Like it's like two different scenes because you have a bathtub scene with them two, and she's just pretty much just the whole scene is just showing you that she's just a ride or die chick and that she just really loves him and cares.
She's trying to understand, what's going on, and he's just like stressed as fuck.
Yeah, he's just not messing around with it. But like that whole scene is just based on that, just showing you that she is down for him, he's down for her. But it's like it goes on way too long, and they're obviously in the bathtub, and then eventually they end up having like a sex scene. But then the sex scene goes on like really long.
Yo, they let that whole track ride, bro.
I don't need to watch it, so I'm just hitting. All right, let's get to the next scene. I've seen 1,000 sex scenes. This is not gonna like break the barrier or anything. So I'm just like hitting the little 10-second skip. I'm like, bro, how many times am I fucking hit this goddamn button right now? Like, Jesus, let's go. Let's get on with it. Like, I know he's a player, but damn, bro. Like,
yeah.
And then honestly, from that point, I feel like they were kind of. I know they shoehorned it kind of like in the end, and like how they like, oh yeah, this is kind of like where like it's the karate scene.
Oh my God.
From the bathtub scene to the karate scene, and then they just go to another scene. I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
I'm like, what was that?
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, because we got to show you that he can actually kick ass, because when he's getting jumped at the end, he ends up getting the upper hand.
Yeah, that's really all that scene does.
I'm like, okay.
That's all that scene is good for, honestly.
I was just like,
and they're also trying to show us he has like some physical prowess, right? He can throw hands when he needs to, as if we didn't learn that. This motherfucker he definitely was doing cardio when he chased down that crackhead or that fucking heroin addict.
Dude, you could have easily.
Yeah, it wasn't a crackhead, it was a heroin addict.
They kind of already did show it in that scene, but they could have just even went a bit further, where like he doesn't catch him in an apartment. He catches them in an alley, and maybe there's like 3 of them instead of 2. Was there 2 of them?
2 of them, yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's 3 of them, and when he catches up to them, they think, oh, we got the upper hand because even though we're cornered, but there's 3 of us now, and he ends up kicking their ass, and like, okay, well, this dude is obviously extremely capable. We don't need to just go the extra mile with the opening scene that you're doing. We don't need to do some rando karate dojo fucking scene where he's just doing like some fucking Steven Seagal shit. Like, oh, okay, now we assume that he's a badass now.
Bro,
we already know that he's a badass. Like, look at this guy. Look at his hair.
Yo, I mean, the dude has some dope suits on. He had the hat. Yo, one of my fucking favorite scenes though is when they are. It's just Eddie and Priest, and they go into the bar. They're waiting for a couple of their lieutenants to come in, I think, and the Black Revolutionaries come in. He's like, it's time for you to pay some dues, nigga. He's like, I ain't giving y'all shit. Like, that scene was hilarious. And Reed's telling me, he said, I'll tell you what you do.
Yeah.
You go get you a gun. And you tell all them black people you talking about, get some guns. He said, and you go after Whitey, I'll be right there with you. I love the line too he gives him. He said, now I'm meeting some people here. You make sure they don't find you when they get here. I'm like, okay. I thought that was an interesting scene, right? Because in a lot of Blaxploitation movies, you do kind of see that conflict between, whether it's the Mac, you name it, people who are trying to uplift the community, and some of them not so righteous, some of them genuinely, and then you have these people who are extracting wealth and peddling drugs in their community. I mean, it definitely reminds me of. I hate my mind's going to this, but Black Dynamite. Yeah. But Black Dynamite, I sell drugs to the community. It's like
Black Dynamite would probably whoop Youngblood Priest's ass.
No question.
I don't know if I ain't fucking with Black Dynamite, man.
Who interrupted my kung fu? But going back to this movie though, man, I do really the scene where he goes and sees Scatta, who essentially kind of gifted him some keys to get started as a pusher. He calls in, he phones a friend basically. He uses like his last his last hope to, really get the keys he needs, the volume he needs in order to, escape this life. And that's when we kind of learn that whole scene I thought was well acted.
But why I don't want to interrupt you, but like, why was he so mad though? Like, I get it that like he's retired, or like he's trying to retire, one or the other. But it's like, bro, I'm just trying to get a little hookup right now. Like, help a brother out, man.
I think for him, it was more, I'm out of this life. I got out. I've survived. And unfortunately, we see how Scatter gets it. They basically set him up and gave him a bad shot of whatever, heroin or whatever it was, just to kind of make it seem like he had died from that as opposed to being murdered. Like, I thought that scene was kind of, that just kind of ramps up the stakes, right? Because Priest is like, it's worse now than ever. And Eddie, and again, going back to what we said earlier, this is where you see like the real collision between them two. They're going different paths. Eddie was just like, I don't give a damn if they're using me.
Yeah.
I'm going to live like a black prince.
Dude, and he said like, as long
and I ain't going.
Pretty much like, as long as they let me get old and all that type of stuff, it's like, how do you even know that you even get that far, man?
I mean,
like, they could kill your ass tomorrow.
He loved the game. He loved the game, and
he just didn't know.
He loved the game,
and he didn't know anything.
He didn't know anything else. Yeah, I thought that seeing like their friendship dissolve in the way that it did. Obviously they weren't just partners. Like Priest respected him, and we thought for most of the time that Eddie did genuinely respect him. But I mean I mean, when we hear that track, Eddie, you should know better. I mean, he betrays his man and calls the white man up immediately after he leaves.
Dude, it's so fucking quick, and it's like, you guys must not have been like that close, because like, even if like,
it's greed, that's what it was.
Even if like, if me and a homie are in like the game like that, and one of us wants to get out, or like, let's say if I'm in the position of Eddie, like, I'm not gonna rat out my homie though. Like, I'm not gonna like,
that was grimy.
I can't help you because it may kind of fall back on me. So it's like, hey, if you want out of this game, then you're just gonna have to take care of yourself and do everything. If you need me to like set something else up for you that's gonna put me in jeopardy, I don't know if I can do that.
Well, also, you would think that,
like, I'm not gonna call up the people and be like,
yeah, he ratted him out fast.
Hey, I got some information for you. It's like, you fucking Uncle Tom, motherfucker.
Well, the thing too that was interesting, because you would think that, okay, this means instead of splitting with a partner, you're getting all the profits now.
Yeah.
As opposed to splitting it 50-50 like you were. So you would have thought that he would have welcomed that to some extent. But I thought the whole setup scene, right, where he leaves with the money and he exchanges it with his girl in the elevator, gave him the rope of dope. I thought that was a really good scene and really nice touch. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say on this movie. I mean, I think we kind of touched on some of the negatives, but I mean, I go back to what I said earlier. I have a lot of respect for this movie. I think we often think about the Blaxploitation movies. You kind of think of the cheesy aspects of those movies, or you think of the like the homages, like, I'ma Get You Sucker or Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You think more of the comedic aspects of these, and I think
a
Friday, and I think with this movie, I think there's a lot to appreciate. I think the story is really solid. I think the story we've seen told from different vantage points, right? I mean, I can see a thread of this in Power, right, around Ghost character trying to lead the life, wanting to be legit, not wanting to have to kill people. And so I can even see traces of this maybe in something like New Jack City. But I definitely really do appreciate this movie, and it came out in the 70s, which is one of my favorite film decades too. So, yeah, man. What about you?
Man, well, like, I didn't really have too much more to say about it. I mean, we can switch the scores here pretty quickly, but last thing I'll say about it is it's a little bit on the negative side. I mean, still on the positive, but still a little bit on the negative. Because when I was watching this, and I was just like, something is like kind of lacking with this movie, even though there's like some negatives along this watch. I'm like, something is lacking, and I felt like it was lacking, I guess, like a little bit of the tension that you would feel in like a story that's like somebody trying to like get out of the drug game, and they're also like kind of like being used in a way like when the cops realize who's selling the drugs and they corner him and all that type of stuff. I feel like I was like, I'm not feeling like there's like the characters in the story are like feeling like things aren't getting ratchet up until like the moment when like Eddie befriends him, or not befriends,
betrays him,
betrays him, and then he's leaving, and like this is like I do have I feel like some of the editing in this movie is like a little bit wonky, it's a little bit off. Just like how they cut some scenes together, but like this was one where I feel like they did really well. Was like when they're cutting to him on the elevator, him trying to wait, him just keep pressing that button trying to get on, and they cut to Eddie calling and dialing him up, and like then him like ratting him out and stuff like that. The way they do that whole sequence and they do the switch off and stuff, I was like, as soon as I was like kind of feeling like there's no like kind of like real tension in this movie, that really kind of cranked it up a little bit for me. So like seeing like him doing the switcheroo and then him getting picked up, and then they have like their final like fight and all that type of stuff. I really felt like the story was like kind of ending on like at least a pretty solid note as well.
Yeah.
But like once you get to the final little sequence, then we kind of get into
the fight scene, bro.
Well, yeah, the fight scene is a little bit on the negative side.
Very telegraphed.
I mean, from the sound effects to the choreography of the stunts, if you want to call them stunts, to just how it's produced with the slow motion.
Oh, bro, when he gets hit with the fucking garbage top. Oh my god! Like his ears are ringing. Yeah. That scene took me out of it.
I'm like, this is like some live action Looney Tunes right now. But then you end it with that freeze. the cop gets the gun. Oh my god! I'm like, this is just insane. Like this is like pretty hysterical, and like I'm sure they're not going for that.
That is a good bet.
But at least, you know, there's something that's positive that's coming out of this, like kind of like a negative side of this movie. I mean, it's ending on a decent note, but like they just had to like throw this little piece of shit in there. That's like, oh god, that horrible fight scene. But then you get me back at least when Priest delivers the final monologue about meeting up with the white hitters, like I mentioned, and
the white ones.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you better take real good care of me. Dude, like just like the one-liners he was pulling out.
Oh, yeah.
How he was delivering it, and just honestly, like it ends like I said, it ends on a solid note, but also it's just like I would like to see kind of like where this character would go after this, because it's like
I agree with that too. Yeah,
like the story for him is not over. It's just he just got out of this situation. There's going to be another situation with these like a group of characters. I mean, I know they did a sequel. Actually, what's his name? The
Superfly TNT.
Yeah, Ron O'Neal. He starred in it and he directed it.
I heard that was trash.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't very good. And it's like I think all I saw was a tagline. It was like "New Country, New Friends" or something like that. I don't. I'm not sure. Something like that. But I was like, man, I would like to see this character pick up with these like kind of him getting out of another situation with like with these little with these cops, officers, whatever you want to call them. But
yeah. No,
obviously we're not going to see that.
I definitely agree. That fight scene was terrible. It is funny. It's terrible in good ways, but I did really dig the monologue, and I think so going back to what you're saying, I think that this could have there were opportunities to kind of turn up the tension, and I think that honestly, I mean, I really wish they would have had more scenes with Eddie and Ron. Because I think those are two that storyline was one of the strongest in the story for me. Seeing this friendship, turn into betrayal. But that said, man, I'm down to hit the scores. I'll kick us off.
Go for it.
For me, this is a 3. Really enjoyed this movie. There's definitely things to really appreciate about this movie, separate from the soundtrack itself. It is a gritty 70s flick. Takes place in New York City, as mentioned. So definitely things to appreciate there, but there are a lot of opportunities where I was just kind of taken out of the movie. But absolutely a movie worth checking out, if for nothing else, to just kind of get a sample of what Blaxploitation, what that genre of movies was like. And this is definitely one of the high points within that genre. And that, man, I'll pass it to you.
Man, one thing I wanted to say real quickly, though, I was just coming across, it was that, like, the film, that it was financed by the director, Gordon Parks, and then Sig Shore, the guy who played the deputy commissioner, Riordan, or the man. And so I was like, oh, shit, that's kind of cool that, like, those two dudes put the money up to put this movie out there. So.
Well, yeah, and also, just to also give a shout out, I mean, the legacy of this movie and within hip-hop is pretty significant.
Yeah.
You know, Pusha T, you know, Pusha Man, you know, the whole genre of the subgenre of, you know, drug rap, you know, whether it's Griselda to, you know, Pusha T in the clips. I definitely, it does cast a shadow, a large shadow within hip hop too.
Yeah. And the last thing, I had to say about this movie too is the whole scene with, like, thinking about, like, the editing and how it's put together was the, not Eddie, but the Fat Freddy.
Oh yeah.
When he gets, like, that whole fight scene and him getting picked up by the cops and then interrogated.
Yeah.
And then when he eventually meets his demise by getting hit by the car, I thought that was so fucking weird. Just because, like, I didn't even recognize that was Fat Freddy had been for a while. I was like, who is this lady that they have in this interrogating room? Dude, and then I was like, when I saw him get hit by the car, I was like, oh, that was Freddy.
Yeah.
Dude, that whole sequence was just bizarre.
Well, you know, one of my favorite scenes, though, tied to Freddy is when he doesn't have Priest's money. And he said, if you don't give me my money tonight, he said, I'm going to put that young girl you're on Whore's Road. He said, that's my wife. So what? I love that line. It's like, you really shouldn't have fucked with my money, Freddie.
Yeah. Dude, see,
that was another highlight, though, for me, as far as, like, the acting and just, like, that scene, right, where he said, so I got a lot of people out here dealing for me. So if they all get big troubles, I'm supposed to starve. That's what you telling me?
Yeah. Dude, when he sits down, when it was like, was that Eddie or I think it was somebody else?
It was one of his other lieutenants.
Yeah, and then Freddie and his lady sitting. Freddie and his lady.
She was just being hella disrespectful.
Bro, she was like, "I'll have whatever you're having." I'm like,
and he gives her a look too. Freddie give her.
Like, oh Lord. But I do agree with you, man. I'm giving this a 3 as well. I was, like, flirting with possibly a 2.5. I can't lie on that. But no, I'm not gonna do that because there are a lot of highlights for this film. And although, like I mentioned, I have some issues with, like, whether it's, like, the editing or, like, certain scenes going on, like, too long. The soundtrack, the look of the characters, and even, like, certain of the scenes that he has, like, with his partner or with his main drug dealer, Scatter. So a lot of those scenes were, like, once, like, the soundtrack kind of goes away, there are, like, some really well acted scenes and stuff put together. There's some stuff that's just, you know, I guess maybe it tends to the times a little bit since it is an older film. It just doesn't. It lacks just some of that tension as well with the story. It lacks just some of that finesse work that you would see in some of, I guess, a more modern film. But it's definitely a pioneer type of movie. Something that's definitely paved the way for a lot of, like, some of the better films that we've seen today. Definitely a movie that, like, Training Day, that we just did a review on that, like, last week. That's another film that's, like, in, like, that drug game or black exploitation, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way as well.
I mean, definitely. I mean, they're both crime. Well, this is a crime drama, but whereas they're both crime films, where exactly. You know, Training Day is more of a crime thriller. But yeah, I agree. Definitely, two good movies.
Yeah, a solid 3. While I give Superfly.
All right. Well, that is our episode for this week, and we'll catch y'all next week. Peace.